so my first question is, how familiar are you guys with global warming? Somewhat familiar, very familiar, not familiar at all?
Somewhat.
Okay, so it has been proven that global warming has been ravaging the planet for several decades. According to the 2016 Natural Resources Defense Council website, climate experts predict the world in which we live to be at least 8 degrees warmer by 2100. I'm going to show you an animation for the last 100 years or so. It's all these anomalies about how warm the ground has gotten since 1900. So as you can see, that starts at 1900. You can see that the Earth is still kind of cool. And right around 1950, there starts to be spikes in North America. And then this is just going through like the seasons as well. As you can see, it's spiking right there around 1995. And then as you can see, out of the 200 countries observed, over 100 of them has had a temperature increase overall. For instance, 7 scientists who wrote for the Thermal Science academic journal observed a temperature increase averaged over the territory of Serbia with a 1.2 degrees Celsius, which is equivalent to 34.16 degrees Fahrenheit for the periods 1996 to 2015. By looking into global warming patterns and trends from the past, this will allow climatologists to accurately predict the dangers of global warming. You will also be able to effectively understand the threats that are endangering all species on Earth after this speech. And though some of you may recognize and be familiar with global warming, you have to also realize that it is a critical issue that won't stop unless we take action. According to the Climate Reality Project created by Yale and George Mason University researchers, as of March 2018, only 63% of Americans ages 18 plus say that global warming is personally important to them. That means that there's still 37% of people who seem to be unbothered by global warming and its threats to society. By the end of this speech, I hope to make you all more knowledgeable about different causes of global warming, such as direct threats, such as habitat loss, and indirect threats, such as environmental pressures and climate change. In this speech, I will discuss global warming, which presents a critical danger to the growing ecosystem and can be shown through irregular weather patterns, malign climate conditions, and hostile animal and plant habitats. Today, I'm going to be highlighting the danger and threats related to global warming. First, I will explain the history and the causes of global warming and the science behind it. Secondly, I will bring to light the harsh reality of the impact global warming has had on the planet thus far. And third, I will conclude with changes that can be made to help reverse the dangers of global warming. So let's begin with the history and the causes of global warming, including both direct and indirect threats. Global warming has always existed, but it wasn't until 1950 that atmospheric carbon dioxide levels reached over 300 parts per million, which is detrimental to Earth's species. According to NASA, within the last 650,000 years, there have been 7 cycles of glacial advance and retreat, with the abrupt end of the last ice age relatively about 7,000 years ago. Today, NASA reports that the current ppm level, parts per million level of dioxide, is 411, and by 2100, the ppm level will be upwards of 700. So I'm going to start to explain the different ppm levels and the dangers of them. So a ppm level between 350 and 1,000 ppms is usually found with good air exchange like we have now. Levels 1,000 to 2,000 ppms correlates to higher complaints of drowsiness and poor air quality. Levels 2,000 to 5,000 is related to headaches, sleepiness and stagnant, stale, stuffy air, poor concentration, loss of attention, and increased heart rate. And lastly, levels above 40,000 ppm may lead to serious oxygen deprivation, which may cause death. If the carbon dioxide levels continue to rise, it will put species at greater risk for these effects. So my next one is the causes of global warming revolving around human activity. If you guys don't know, that NASA found that human activity on microorganisms are presenting a direct threat and an indirect environmental pressure. Now that you understand the history and the causes of global warming, let me inform you about the impact of global warming and which it has had on our planet for the last 50 years. There has been many consequences of polluting the planet and the earth, depleting the ozone layer. Global warming has had three major facets on Earth and its population. First, according to the Environmental Defense Fund, the overall heat increases and alters ice caps, weather patterns, and the oceans. Secondly, human life and prosperity begin to suffer as a result of global warming. It is threatening agriculture, air quality, infrastructure, and transportation. Lastly, natural habitats such as the homes of ice Arctic animals, coral, and shellfish start to become unfit for survival. Fortunately, taking steps towards putting less pollution in the air and the ozone layer may give all species a chance for a longer life expectancy. In my visual aid, I'll show you the effects of temperature and the temperature increase through a mini experiment. So in these two 2-liter bottles, one is my control of just water, and the other one has Alka-Seltzer in it, which may provide more carbon dioxide effects. So this is like relating it to the planet and like how warm that the ozone layer can get when you add carbon monoxide to it. So about an hour ago, I filled these up. And then I placed a heat lamp on the experimental one. So, and that one is 73 degrees. And then the one that was exposed to light and the carbon dioxide is 79. So as you can see, that obviously as the temperature increases, it's not good for our health. But fortunately, taking steps towards putting less pollution in the air and the ozone layer may give all species a chance for a longer life expectancy. So now that all of you are clear about the effects and the consequences polluting the earth, as intense and quick as it has been for the last half century, I must discuss the possible changes that we as humans can take to reverse the effects. So a survival curve is a statistical picture of survival experience of a group of individuals showing the percentage surviving versus time. The survival curve is explored in the 2018 PLOS journal article, where it notes that the survival curve plays a major role in how environmental variability leads to population fluctuations. If the survival curve is better addressed, it can provide the general population further insight into what changes can be made, such as focusing more on early life stages and from the hostile environments that animals are in, and being more effectively aware of your surroundings. Now that we've mentioned some changes that could help reverse the effects of global warming, let's review what we've discussed. Today we looked at the three aspects concerning the threats and the dangers of global warming, as well as some critical changes that should be immediately addressed.